Hello, everybody. This is Chris Miller from the Coach's Box Call Like We See It podcast, and this is our SEC weekly preview for Thank God for Football Game Day. This preview is all of our preview segments. It's brought to you by Pepsi. Whether you're gearing up for game day, hanging out with friends, or you just need that perfect, refreshing break, nothing hits the spot quite like an ice-cold Pepsi. As you can see, I'm drinking one. It's bold, crisp, always refreshing. Pepsi is the taste that fuels the moment. So crack open a Pepsi anytime that you feel a little bit thirsty. Well, I'm going to tell you what, guys. I'm going to be a little thirsty after this week when we're talking about our SEC teams. A bunch of them, they just all must have got together and said, we're taking this week off. So we've got a bunch of teams that are on bye this week. We've only got a handful of teams in the SEC that are playing this week: Kentucky, Georgia, Florida, Texas, Vanderbilt, Alabama, Oklahoma, Mississippi State, and Texas A&M. That's it. So out of all the 16 teams, that's the only ones that are playing. We could talk about Kent State visiting Oklahoma. I don't really feel like a game that has a 45.5 spread is important enough to talk about. And I would we would talk about Mississippi State going to Texas A&M. I'm not really sold on Mississippi State yet. They're about one game away for me thinking, all right, maybe they're okay. That's going to be a big test for them. They're 14.5 dogs. So the three games that we are going to talk about, and you could probably argue that maybe the Mississippi State A&M game is important. The three we're going to talk about this week, we're going to start out with, and I know you're like, roll your eyes. We're going to talk about Kentucky visiting Georgia. Kentucky comes in 2-2. They're 0-2 in the SEC. Last week, they took a 35-13 loss to South Carolina, who got beat the week before by my MIZ Tigers. And then, of course, Georgia, who also lost last week. They're 3-1 and 1-1 in the SEC. They lost that heartbreaker to Alabama. I can honestly say I really thought that Kirby Smart would have it figured out because Nick Saban's not on the sideline. But it is what it is. So why is this game important? Kentucky, look, I'm not going to say from their standpoint this game's important because it's football and they're stuck in football mediocrity, and it's just something to do before basketball season. I'm pretty sure Mark Stoops will never lose his job because, well, it's not basketball. And the only thing people care about apparently in Kentucky for the University of Kentucky is basketball. So that's one thing. But Georgia, even though they're 20.5-point favorites in this game, Georgia has to bounce back in a big way after that really tough loss to Alabama. And it cannot believe that Kirby Smart cannot beat Alabama. He has the better team, but for some reason, we just don't think that they're going to run the ball ever. So they can't be looking past this, thinking about Auburn. They have to take care of business against Kentucky. Gunnar Stockton has to be able to move the ball down the field. He could not get over 130 passing yards against Alabama. And I know we are talking about two different teams here, but they've got to be able to move the ball. And if they can't throw it, then they need to take advantage of the excellent yards per carry that the running game provides. So I do think Georgia's going to bounce back in a big way, but hey, stranger things has happened because, again, this is the SEC. Then we have number 9, Texas. They are 3-1, and first SEC game of the season, they are traveling to Florida, who's 1-3 and 0-1 in the conference. Texas is favored by 6.5, even though this could get really ugly. It's still a tough place to play when you go to the Swamp. I don't care how bad they are. But Texas has to start rolling as their conference play begins. So they're not playing Sam Houston State. They're actually playing an SEC school. So we're going to see what Arch Manning can do. Their offense has to get moving in order for them to be a legitimate contender. They're only 3-1. They've only lost one game to Ohio State, who's pretty good this year. So it's not that big of a deal, but they have to start playing a lot better and putting out some quality wins. Last week, they beat Sam Houston State 55-0 because, hey, we're going to take another bye week where we actually play some, clown team. Again, it's going to be very important that Arch and the rest of the Texas offense starts producing against actual legitimate opponents. Now, Florida's not that team. Not this year, but they're still an SEC team, and they are still tough to beat at home. They did lose last week to Miami, 26-7. Billy Napier, his Gators started out ranked in the preseason, and now his job is hanging on by a thread. At Florida, he's 20-22 overall. It's like he's on watch every single day. If they're going to throw breaking news, there could be a chance he's out of a job. DJ Lagway has to play better. He has turned the ball over way too many times, and he has more interceptions than touchdowns on the season, and 61 passing yards against Miami is not going to help change things. So I look for Texas to win. It could be close because it's the Swamp. Our last game is the only ranked game, and you suck, College Game Day, because you're going to go to this one. But number 16 Vanderbilt, they are undefeated. They are going to Alabama, and they are playing the 10th ranked Crimson Tide. Vandy 5-0, 1-0 in the SEC. Alabama 3-1, 1-0 in the SEC. Alabama is still favored by 10.5 points. They are still a top-tier team. Apparently, Kalen DeBoer can win a big game, and he can coach a little bit. We all know that, but it is a different style. They are coming off of a huge win against Georgia. Vanderbilt, they upset Alabama last year because they didn't see him coming. Apparently, Alabama is looking ahead. This year, they're not going to catch him by surprise, and they have to go to Bryant-Denny. So it's going to be a tough battle. They have to prove that they are not a pretender. They're actually a contender, not just in the SEC, but for the college football playoffs. Ty Simpson had a great game. He threw for 276 and 2 touchdowns and ran for another one against Georgia. We're going to see what Vanderbilt has on that side of the ball. On the offensive side, it's David Pavia. He is leading their team in passing and rushing. He can do everything. So, again, this is a put-up-or-shut-up game. We're going to see if they're a pretender or not. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm throwing out some love for my Mizzou Tigers right here because they're still undefeated. Vandy's undefeated. I'm kind of hoping Vandy wins because then that means that Mizzou, hey, they're going to play Alabama. I'm just excited about it. So, either way, so there's not as many SEC games this week to watch. There's still going to be some good ones. I feel like this last one here with Vandy, Alabama is going to be better, and I think it's going to be better than the 10.5-point spread. So I look for it to be a little bit closer. Could be wrong. Hell, I'm wrong a lot. Anyway, I'm Chris Miller from the Coach's Box Call Like to See It podcast. This is our weekly SEC preview for Thank God for Football Game Day. We'll see you guys all again next week.
It's brought to you by Off the Rails